Welcome to Ego Netcast. I am Martin Lindeskog, and today I'm talking to Jim Sweeney of Mike on Sports. Hi, Jim. How are you doing? Or should I say Mike?
Well, you can say either. My name is Jim Sweeney from Clearwater, Florida, and I'm the creator of the Mike cartoon sports character. And Martin, thanks for having me as a guest on your show today.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. And thanks for podcastguests.com for connecting each other here.
That's a fabulous resource. I use it as often as I possibly can, and I get a lot of value out of it. And, I hope, and my plan is whenever I'm a guest is to provide as much value, to the show and the show host as I possibly can. So thanks for having me.
Great, and we did a prep here on Skype before, and I'm sure that you will do that. And value is one important role in my philosophy and in this show. So I'm starting out reading from your Twitter profile. Witty, fun and informative blogger, sports and comic book author, and podcaster on all things sports, great sports humor, fun facts, and even some sports history. And you say you are also in cyberspace and vemike.com, and you joined in 2015.
Yes.
And you have 104 followers, and you're following 67 peeps, and hopefully you will have more in the near future. So, and one of your recent tweets here was of the Kaiser of football or soccer, Franz Beckenbauer. And I wrote a tweet there that I had a book by him back in the day when I tried to play some soccer when I was a kid. So he was very good at in Germany.
Yes, if you see my Twitter profile, one of the things I do, since my character that I've created, Mike, is a cartoon character and he's a sports character. Mike is actually a MikeRaffone. Mike's real name is Michael Anthony Raffone, also known as MikeRaffone or simply Mike. And because he's a humorous, witty, creative character, one of the things I like to do to stay in contact with my fan base is to publish regular comics. I'm not an illustrator or an artist by trade, but I can envision or conceptualize, a lot of the humor that I see in sports. And one of the things I attempt to do is also incorporate some sports history. And my latest tweet on the Kaiser is Franz Beckenbauer, one of the greatest footballers of all time, and he's wearing a general's cap while trying to juggle a soccer ball. So I found it to be a pretty witty or inventive way to keep in contact with my following, and people identify my character, Mike, as a cartoon character and as a funny guy. So I try to deliver humor at every opportunity I can.
That's great. And then we have a similar interest because the guy who has created my logotype and banner for this show and other products that I have is John Cox, and he's an editorial cartoonist and fine artist. So we have created a caricature of myself with a baseball cap and a microphone in my hand, and also an old-time fashion radio. And I could say that, by the way, today is World Radio Day, so we could push a bit for free radio and so on, like Radio Europe. And
well, Martin, happy World Radio Day to you, my friend.
Yeah, that's good. And be a bit geeky and nerdy. I'm not for the tech, I'm more for the conversation and the content. But we need to have technology in order to create this. And right now we are recording here through Ringer, an excellent service that I'm
Absolutely.
using. So I'm using it directly in my headphone and have a small mic here called iRig. That's a small, almost like, small box that you put directly in the phone. But what kind of microphone is this caricature? Do you have a brand imagined, or is it a made-up one?
It's a made-up one, and I call him the first ever titanium American to report on sports. So when you look at Mike, you can see that he's got a metallic grill, a metallic base, and he could swivel, he could turn upside down, he can rock back and forth. And because the character is set up for animation and for future, television implementation, I was looking to have the greatest amount of flexibility I possibly could when we helped design the character. And I do have animation. However, I release it, judiciously. I don't want Mike to go out there too prematurely. And I'm still looking to align, with either a large global corporation or an American sports media network that would license what I created for animation. However, knowing the exorbitant cost of animation, I didn't want to invest, before I had that, deal solidified with a major corporation or with an American sports media network. So we got the character out through blogging, through ebooks, and through a brief podcast. And it's worked for us. And we've built a little bit of a following, and I have some people that are quite loyal that look for, the stuff that I post on a blog at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I've published 40 sports comic books, all narrated by Mike, and they're all different. It's a different take on sports. It's not like, picking up the newspaper or logging onto your favorite sports website and reading about what happened in last night's game. Mike reports through a different lens. He sees the world of sports differently and a lot of times comically. And he calls out the elephants in the room. And that's the take. That's my niche that I've carved out in creating this particular sports character.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear because my friends were John Cox and Alan Forkum. They created several books called Black and White World. And they were going for syndication, but they were really pointing out the elephant and the donkey and others in the room several times. And that was, a touchy subject. So they're great creators, as you say. You have a syndication called Creator, I think.
Yes.
I think they were there now and then. But no big newspaper took them up because they were a bit sensitive in a way, and that was pity because they were so talented and still are. And the site they have, coxandforkum.com, is still up there, but not updated now on a regular basis. But John Cox is continuing with his cartoons, and Alan, he's doing his for automotive newspaper. So it's interesting to see, but it's interesting when you mention that about waiting for somebody that could pick you up in
well, that is my goal, is to secure a licensing deal. And that way I have, the wherewithal of a major corporation behind me that has also a more expedient accessibility to global sponsorship or national sponsorship here in the United States that would have the finances to be able to do what I want to do to get the character out there.
Yeah, best premises with that. And I will send you a link to MikeRaffone company that I recently found out. I don't have it myself. Maybe it will be on my wish list later on. But I found it through music store called 4Sound, and it's called the mic is called Aston, and it's made in Great Britain in UK. And I think you will like the style and the rugged material.
I'd be happy to take a look at it, but to your point earlier, you had asked specifically what kind of a microphone Mike is, because Mike is primarily geared to an American audience. Yep. And in America, I mean, let's face it, we're a melting pot as a nation. We're a great nation because, we've accepted into our borders, people from all walks of life, from, all creeds, all colors, all nations. And people like to identify themselves in the United States as an Asian American, an Indian American, an African American. And in my case, because Mike is humorous, he's witty and he's clever, we've called him the first ever titanium American. And there's no such thing as a titanium American, but because we made Mike to look like titanium metal brushed, steel, that's why I call him the first ever titanium American, who happens to be an equal opportunity offender and an independent Republican. You get it. Maybe some of the people listening in other countries might not get it, but the American, political landscape is divided into Republicans, Democrats, and independents. So I call Mike an independent Republicrat so that he could talk knowledgeably about a number of different things.
Say that 10 times fast.
Independent Republicrat. Independent Republicrat. Okay, I'm tired, Martin. Let's move on.
That's good. That's great, Jim. And talking about that, what's more are you doing as with work and projects and maybe some hobbies and also?
I have a very unique hobby that blends perfectly with what I do with Mike. Mike is my full-time gig. I get up in the morning and I think about Mike. I think about how I'm going to take him to the next level. I think about what Mike is going to say, through the written word that I pen. But my volunteer gig is like a global volunteer gig. I serve as the volunteer head of the United States for an international senior basketball association called FIMBA. And FIMBA is an acronym for Federation International Masters Basketball Association. And masters is a euphemism for older guys and gals, guys 35 and older in age, women 30 and older in age. And in the United States, I help recruit and organize teams to play in international masters basketball tournaments a couple times a year. And I've been doing this for the last several years. I'm 59 years old. I still play basketball 3 times a week. Slowly, I might add, but I'm still out there, competing 5-on-5 up and down the court. And I'm helping to organize a number of United States teams to play in a world championship in Italy this coming summer. And already there's 380 teams from 45 countries pre-registered. So basketball is an international, it's a global sport. The United States has always been looked upon as the leader in the sport. So I absolutely love what I do as a volunteer for FIMBA. And when I travel to play in these tournaments, I could work because, posting a blog or writing a book or doing a podcast, you can do from anywhere, provided you got internet access.
Yep. So it's like a dream team then, basketball.
Yes, it is. And we have a dream.
So-called older people like me.
We have a dream team 50, which is 50 plus in age, a dream team 55, and a dream team 60, which is 60 plus in age for the American teams that enter these tournaments. And this is our thing. It's what I like to do is with my free time. I don't golf. I don't play tennis. I don't own a boat, even though I live in Florida. And all those things are pretty prevalent here in Florida. I play basketball slowly, but I'm still out there.
That's good. And probably basketball is not my thing as a short person. I tried tennis back in the day,
You did.
When Björn Borg was very popular.
Yes.
And I watched the games there in Wimbledon and so on, and I played for a few years, and I liked it, but it was not my kind of thing in the long run. But I thought it was a nice sport. I never played golf, but it's pretty easy to watch it and soothing in a way.
Yes.
So we will probably talk a bit more, or maybe we should do it directly from the get-go. So some friends of mine, shout out to Brent Leary, the social CRM guy. He didn't like the results of Super Bowl final when so-called my team, the New England Patriots, won. What's your take on that final?
My take is it was the greatest Super Bowl in history. Out of 51 Super Bowls, far and away the most exciting, the most riveting, the most surprising, and I almost missed it. In the third quarter, the game was it was 19-point lead by the Atlanta Falcons over the New England Patriots. I rise every day by 6 a.m. I'm like first up at dawn, and I like going to bed early, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. If I make double digits, according to my daughter, that's a big thing for me in our household. So I was going to pack it in and say, forget about it. The Falcons are going to win. The Patriots lost. I'm going to sleep. And I'm thinking, let me give it another 5 or 10 minutes. And lo and behold, you can never count, Tom Brady out. I mean, he won his 5th Super Bowl, his 4th MVP award. He was brilliant. The coaching staff on New England was brilliant. The defense was brilliant. And they came back and they won in overtime. And I'm happy I was there to witness it firsthand instead of reading about it and trying to reconstruct the action on the internet the next morning.
Yeah, it was pretty late here also, or early, you could say.
And I wrote a blog about every Tuesday. I write a blog through the voice of my Mike character, and the blog is always entitled 2 Cent Tuesday. In the United States, we've had this long-standing expression or cliche. Here's my 2 cents, and it's just my opinion.
Adding 2 cents to conversation.
And then Mike,
one of my favorite expressions.
So Mike has every Tuesday his 2 Cent Tuesday blog, and it was about Tom Brady. And I said indisputably, Tom Brady is the GOAT, and GOAT is GOAT, which is another acronym short for greatest of all time. So I don't think anybody could argue that Tom Brady isn't the greatest of all time, because he is. And at age 39, when he should have been long retired as an NFL player, he has the greatest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl, to advance his team to another championship. So I thought it was spectacular.
Yeah, we will include that in your show notes. And what would you say about the coach that found Tom Brady back in the day?
Well, it was interesting. He got drafted. I think it was a 6th round draft pick out of Michigan. And how the NFL, the National Football League, ascertains talent is that prospective NFL draft picks go to what's known as an annual NFL combine. And at the combine, they show off their skills, and they're primarily tested for their physical makeup. Like they get timed in the 40-yard dash, how far they could broad jump, how much weight they could lift, in different size increments, how high they can jump, not just how broad they can or far they can jump. And Tom Brady did not have the greatest metrics, so that's why his draft stock, was lowered him to the 6th round. And he got his opportunity because there was a great quarterback New England had at the time named Drew Bledsoe, and he went down with an injury, and Brady was the guy that stepped up, and the rest is history. He played brilliantly, and Drew Bledsoe could not reclaim his starting position, and Brady went on to now become who I believe is the NFL GOAT, or greatest of all time.
And one important ingredient of the Super Bowl is the commercials and the advertising. And I haven't watched. I have seen the what is it called, Budweiser commercial. I'm not so fond of a general beer. I have other tastes in beer. But the journey there and how they describe, as you said, the melting pot and how they came from Germany and so on to the United States of America is brilliant. So I have spread that video.
You did?
Yeah. Do you see? Could you imagine that in the future? Super Bowl, I don't know, double L or something. No, I don't know. It's these Roman letters. Then the mic will be in one of the commercials.
I can envision that. Otherwise, I shouldn't do what I'm doing. My goal is quite zealous for Mike. I expect him to be the first ever animated brand to transcend all sports.
Yeah,
that's a big goal to have.
It's a big, hairy goal. Yeah,
yeah, it is. Right. But the beauty of what I've created is that a microphone can transcend all sports. It's all sports. Obviously, need the players or the athletes or participants and the coaches. But they need officials, they need timekeepers, and if it's televised or on the radio, majority of sports are going to have some type of commentator or announcer. And that's where I see, Mike coming to be. I see that's Mike's position, that he could announce, he can commentate, he could be a sportscaster, but report on things differently, more humorously, as we had discussed, I believe, in our initial, Skype call that we had, is Mike could identify the elephants or the donkeys in the room. And he could do so with professionalism and aplomb because he's a cartoon character. And people don't stay long traditionally at cartoon characters. How can you?
No.
And Mike's got a personality where he's a little impish, but he's not wormy. He's not crass. He's bold and brazen, but he's not boorish. So he's the type of individual that people are going to love, and they're going to want to know and expect, things that are going to come out of Mike's mouth, and they're going to be entertained and educated as a result of it.
Hmm. That's great. I will include or send to you a cartoonist called Mark Anderson.
Please.
He has a strip there on small business trends that I write for and do moderating and so on. And he has a special category with cats.
He does.
That I like. So I'm a big cat fan. Are you that too?
I'm a big dog fan. I'm not a fan of little dogs, but I like big dogs. My wife and I. My wife and I
own. This was a nice conversation, Jim. So
yes.
Maybe we should wrap up now.
Okay. Easy now, pal.
You know that the internet is made by cats, right?
No, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Yeah, it is. Google it. Yeah. But what do you say? What kind of dogs?
We're in the post-dog era of our lives now because it's just heartbreaking when you lose a beloved pet. Is. But my wife and I had a 200-pound English Mastiff. Okay. And she was spectacular, but she was huge. We live in a 3-story townhome, and it's not the biggest house, but when you have a dog of that magnitude, it's tough getting from the kitchen table to the refrigerator. Or if you want to get up off the sofa and get the remote off the counter, sometimes you have to step over a 200-pound dog, which is taking up the majority of the room. And then the other dog we had at the same time was a 75-pound solid muscle boxer by the name of Buster, and he was a buster. So we were living in a smaller house with 275 pounds of dog for about 6 years. And it had so many stories that were birthed out of that relationship, but we cherish them. We love them. But both dogs, Lily and Buster, are in doggy heaven. We miss them, but we don't miss them. We have a cleaner house.
Yeah. And talking about that, around this time I will do a plug for affiliate that I'm for audibletrial.com/ego netcast. And one book that maybe will be in Audible or at least at Amazon is Don't Be in a Dogfight, Be a Cat. And that was a post on small business trends about management of a company, that you shouldn't stick into this fight, instead be a cat.
Okay.
So that will be a book on my reading list for the future. But here on the mid-roll, we'll take about Audible is offering listeners a free audiobook of your choice and a free 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/ego netcast and choose from over 160,000 audio programs. Download a title free of charge and start listening. That's easy. Go to audibletrial.com/ego netcast. That's audibletrial.com/ego netcast and get your started today. And maybe in the future, maybe Mike, the character, could help me with this, how do you say, sponsor messages.
With the voiceover. I'm actually the voice of Mike. We modulate my voice when I do the voice of Mike. Because
so
Mike,
how does he sound like?
Yes, we make him sound a little bit tinnier, and we actually accelerate, the speed of it by about 10%. So it's different than mine. It helps differentiate Mike's voice from mine, but he sounds like he's a microphone. At least we think so.
Well, that's great. And do you have any book tip here, or do you listen to audiobooks?
I don't listen to audiobooks. I read, ebooks, and I publish ebooks. I've published 40 ebooks. I've got a new one that's coming out now.
Wow. And the one that we have at the end, is that you could call that an ebook also?
Yes, it is. You could download it. It's a PDF. You can download it on your phone, your tablet, or your computer.
Wow. So are you then listed as an author then on Amazon?
I have 25. There are 20. Yes. And my Amazon author page is amazon.com/author/MikeRaffone. That's MikeRaffone. And I have 25 books that I've published.
Congratulations. And that we'll have to talk about more sometime, because I'm an aspiring author.
Sure.
Saying it in my Twitter profile, and I want to create at least 8 books on tea, my favorite beverage.
Oh, nice.
In a special style, and that's what I will thank John Cox, that will be the illustrator of the books. He said, why don't do several books instead of one book on a topic, and then do it smaller ones, but also that you could have a continuous thread, so you could continue the conversation, and as you said, adding your 2 cents
yes,
during the book launch and after and between the next book, etc., etc. So I have a big plan for that. What I'm, struggling with or keeping up with is to write, and also to find sponsors for donations for the creation of this book. But I have my vision also ahead of me, that will result in the future. Is serious. So it's very inspiring to listen to your goals and your ideas for this character and what it could do for you. So,
well, thank you.
Are all these 25 books, are they on sports or?
They're all on sports. I sell 25 of them on Amazon, and I give a number of them away for free. That helps me extend my brand, tell my story, and I actually monetize, the free books, and I monetize the books I sell on Amazon because I have ads with affiliate partners that I house within them. Mm-hmm. And because I'm a sports guy and a sports character in the business of sports, all of my affiliate partners are sports oriented. I do have Amazon as I'm an Amazon associate, and they have plenty of sports related stuff that people can buy. But my other affiliates are some of the top sports merchandisers in the world. Sports memorabilia, Fanatics, NFL store, NBA store, MLB store or shop, NHL, MLS, FIFA. You could buy all that kind of product, off of our site. You click on the link and you're just redirected, to the actual store that sells the product that you're interested in.
Okay, lots of acronyms there, and I follow along for some of them, and that will be also a good segue here for around the halftime about the trader principle. So now I want to celebrate, because I had the T-shirts from 2000. When was it now? The Super Bowl 36, when New England Patriots won. A sweater there with the Super Bowl winner. So I want to buy some kind of gear now with the New England Patriots. Could I go through your store then? And
yes, you can. You could go on to the website, and when I wrote my blog last week called 2 Cent Tuesday, if you scroll down in the blog, there's a banner ad at the it's embedded right into the blog, where you can buy your New England Patriots gear, winners of Super Bowl 51, or on the sidebar, I have an NFL shop where you could go and obviously purchase product, or you can go on to sports memorabilia or Fanatics. Martin, I got you covered 5 or 6 different ways where you can buy that T-shirt.
That's great. I will definitely look into that. Thank you very much. And talking about that, how could your readers and fans support you and have a free exchange as a trader principle between what you are providing and what they get from it? What's your take on that?
On our toolbar on the website, and the website is themike.com. That's TheeMike.com, TH2EsMike.com. On the toolbar, it'll say free sports comic books. And you have an opportunity to choose from a number of them, and you can safely download them right off of our site. And some of the comic books they're clever, because I've taken, at least that's what I've been told by hundreds and hundreds of people, is that the character is clever and he's witty. And as I said, I don't necessarily always report through the voice of Mike on what happened in last week's game or what's going to happen this coming weekend. I have a different point of view. Like in the new book I have, it's Mike's list of top 10 most annoying things in sports. And it's all really my opinion that I articulate through the voice of my character Mike. And one of the things is flopping in soccer. That's annoying to me.
Yeah, I'm reading your mind. Is flopping, that's when they do this drama queen thing that they
best done by the Italians.
And they are
I'm married to an Italian, but still I'm taking a shot here because I think most people would agree. The Italians flop the best in the international football.
Yeah.
So then I have a comic that goes with it, and then I report on it, and then I release my angst through the written word through Mike, and people are entertained. See, you're laughing. You see what I'm getting at. And then another thing is spitting in baseball, the American sport of baseball.
Yeah.
Guys spit all the time. They're chewing sunflower seeds, they're chewing tobacco, and they're spitting.
Yeah.
And I say that baseball disgusts me because of all the excessive how do you say that? Expectoration. Expectoration is a fancy way of saying spitting.
Yeah.
And then I talk about old cliches that they're overused and they're too well worn. They need to be replaced. And I talk about parole models, not role models, but parole models, meaning guys that should be locked up instead of utilized as role models for kids in sports.
Yeah.
So that pretty much sums up Mike. His take he is different. He looks through the world of sports through a different lens, and he identifies, as we had discussed earlier, the elephants or the donkeys in the room.
Yeah. And how long have Mike been around?
I am 59 years and 1 month old. So he was born coursing through my DNA on January 3rd, 1958. But in cyberspace for a few years now, and he's continuing to grow. As I said, I have 40 sports comic books I've done. I've posted probably 950 blogs. I've done dozens of short MP3 audios that I released at a period of time as a podcast. I've done animation. So he's a work that's in continual progress, and he's only going to get bigger, better, funnier, and wittier.
That's impressive. So how do you keep up with all this?
I'm always been like an entrepreneur and a one-arm paper hanger. I can keep up with it because I love having multiple balls in the air or plates spinning at the same time. And I do have a plan. I have a publishing plan where my readers obviously expect, if I say I want to do a 2 Cent Tuesday blog, I just can't say, well, I'm going to post it next Thursday and then I'll take a month off and post it on a Wednesday. It's got to come out on Tuesday by 9:00. Yeah. And then every Thursday, because I think I capture, at least in the United States, we have the hashtag TBT for Throwback Thursday. Is that I always try to identify something that's historical in sports. And then I call that my Throwback Thursday sports comic and sports blog. And every Friday, because Mike's a funny man and I have comics, I do a very brief Friday sports funny. And I publish these things on my blog. I share them via social media, and I put them on different sites. And that every week I have at least 3 blogs. And sometimes on a Sunday, since I've published so many books, I will release a chapter from my book with the cover of the book that I'll post as a blog.
Wow, that's great. Is it possible to buy individual pieces of your, how to say, cartoons and so on, or are they in the books?
They're all in the books, but I don't sell the cartoons or the comics individually. I don't know if there would be a market for that. And I'm happy giving them away because if people enjoy them, if they want to share them, then that means that other people are going to learn about the character, and it's, I guess, a marketing expense.
Yeah. That's great. So what's your future plans?
The future plans is to continue building the character, the brand, making it stronger, finding new ways to get it out there. And as I shared earlier, my ultimate goal is to align with a major entity, whether it's a global corporation or a United States sports media company that could help me get the thing out there in a more widespread way. Because Mike, sure, he's a sports character, but he's an entertainment character. And in the United States, two of the most readily identifiable icons for advertising are the Geico gecko
Yep.
and the Aflac duck. And both of these cartoon characters or animated characters are used to promote Geico for insurance and Aflac for medical insurance.
Yeah.
And they're very comical. They're fun. People know them. They see them. And they act as great brand spokespersons, for both of those companies. And I could see a major corporation picking up Mike as a brand spokesperson. And I would license the character to those corporations. I would not relinquish the rights to the character because I see Mike eventually as a pop-up character on television, interacting with real sports celebrities or actually interviewing, real-time athletes.
Yeah. That's a great idea. And I think because I like this Affleck duck, and I wonder if a company has the ducks in rows, because I think they have retired this character in some way.
No, I saw him just within the last couple of days. Yes, I did, on TV.
Good. Then I'm wrong, because I read something about it and tried to find it on their site, and then I didn't see this character, but maybe he's flying around somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's good. So we will include that in the show notes.
He's very identifiable. Aflac.
Yeah.
Aflac.
And I have some kind of, not a duck in my throat now, but I'm a bit under the weather, so I have a bit of cold. So, but
maybe it's a hairball from one of your cats.
And I was taking a sip of tea.
There you go.
That will be. That's funny. So, do you have, maybe you will not divulge that, but do you have a company in mind that would be a good representative for your character?
For a global company that wants to utilize Mike as a brand spokesperson, no, not specifically, but I do have a core set of ethics and values. My wife is my business partner and co-creator, and she, even though I'm the one that's out there, first and foremost, she's the one that steadies the ship and says, whoa, I don't think we need to go down that path. Or have you thought about phrasing it this way or that way? And a couple of years ago, we developed a core set of ethics and values that we said Mike would never say this, never do that. And he's always going to be true, to his character. So we want to make sure that whomever we align with, it doesn't promote like hard liquor or smoking or foul language or guttural behavior or anything that's immediately offensive. That's just wrong. That we would not feel comfortable with. Now, I realize you could offend anybody in the United States at this point in time over any little thing. I'm not worried about that because I know that my intention and my wife's intention, we want to develop a character of excellence that that is witty, that's funny, that's clever, that entertains, that identifies the elephants and the donkeys in the room, but doesn't completely, excoriate them. That gives them an opportunity. If we're going to, point out bad boorish behavior, we'll not look to just totally destroy that individual. We'll give that individual an opportunity to respond or improve the behavior.
That's great, and I will include in the show notes the ethics.
Thank you.
And the page from BB&T Bank Trust Corporation.
Yeah, it's very good. But my answering your question is twofold. Is that that's my first response was about a global corporation. We need to parallel the ethics that they have, and we want to make absolutely certain that they're not utilizing our character in a negative way. But as far as where I believe Mike will soar is with a major sports network in the United States. And I've had conversations with like ESPN, with TNT. However, I think we would be best served. Fox has done a really good job with animation of all the networks in the United States. I think they've done the best. They have a character that they've utilized for the last several years called Cletus, which is a transformer robot. He's a blue robot that they use for the NFL or football on Fox.
Yeah.
However, he doesn't speak. He doesn't sing. And he's definitely football oriented. But I've spoken with executives at Fox, and they said their greatest, challenge or regret was that they never had Cletus speak. And our guy, Mike, he speaks. And Mike could morph. Mike could turn into a hockey puck. He could turn into a baseball bat or a hockey stick or a football. Cletus is a transformer, but he really can't do that as well as Mike can. So I think Fox would be the best home, but I'm open to talking to NBC Sports, like for the next Olympics. The Peacock does nothing. That's their brand or their identifier is the NBC Peacock, but it does nothing. It doesn't speak. It's just there. It's just a static symbol. So I think Mike would be great for NBC Sports or CBS or ABC.
Yeah. That's great. There's lots of opportunity there.
Yes, there is.
So, and when it comes to guests, we talked about podcastguest.com. Do you have any suggestions of guests that you would be willing or looking forward to listen to?
I always like listening to informative people in the sports world. And I like also people that are transformative thinkers, that think in a new way, in a positive way, that don't look to dampen a situation or bring negativity, that look to rise above the fray. So that would be the type of people that I would like to listen to as a guest.
Yeah. Do you have any on your mind or some guests that you have had on your show?
This is actually, I don't have a show. My podcast is very different in that it's only 2 to 3 minutes, and it's just it's a rant of what Mike thinks.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, it is. And I look to repurpose content. So I have a book that's coming out, or I just released it, called Most Annoying Things in Sports. I do a chapter on spitting in baseball, how disgusting I think it is. But I also have a rant that is a short podcast or audio file on spitting in baseball. I do the same thing, flopping in soccer. I look to, since it is so, you probably are aware of this because you blog. If you wanted to do a 50-word or 100-word mini essay, probably takes you longer to do that than it does a 500-word essay. Just because every single word counts. Every stop word at the beginning of a sentence you want to be meaningful. Your alliteration sometimes can help enhance what you write or what you say. So I look to repurpose things. If they're good, I want to get it out there in a couple different forms, as a chapter in a book, as a blog post, and as an audio file.
That's smart.
Thank you.
Clever. So I have an idea about, do you have a newsletter?
I do put out a newsletter periodically, not as often as I should, but I'm sure I'm going to get one out sometime soon.
Yeah, and that's what I did also. I started one a year ago, and then I got a kick when I read Elsie Escobar, that's the social media manager, evangelist, very happy person at Libsyn, the podcast hosts. And she started now a weekly newsletter about things that excites her. So that was very neat. So
she actually lives in Florida. I met her at a podcasting event. My wife is a podcaster, and I, accompany her to a number of different podcast events.
Yeah.
And podcasting is big here in Florida.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I know. It is. You have your Podfest and others and so on. Hopefully, have you attended these conferences and events?
I did last year. I'm not going to the one they're going to have in a couple weeks because I'm speaking at a conference on sports in Washington, D.C. at the same time. However, it's interesting that you mentioned that. My wife's been asked to submit a speaker application for the podcast movement in Anaheim, California, for this coming summer. So one of the lists of things on our list of things to do this week is to complete that podcast submission form to be a speaker at Podcast Movement.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I look forward to the day when I could attend an international podcast conference. I think I will.
You should. You're a really good interviewer. You've got passion. Thanks. You're smart. You're using the right technology, and It's where like-minded individuals go and look to improve. So go for it. Put it on your list,
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah, I will put it on my list. So, and with the newsletter, I was thinking now I had this, as you said, hairball and throat, but I will include in my newsletter, weekly newsletter, some behind the scenes or a rant in a podcast form, because I'm using all kind of different technologies and services in order to test them. And it's one service called Audible, and another is called. What you say, Audible, and a Swedish one made by Opinion that I will use. And there you could have shorter ones, but Libsyn is for my longer one here with the guests and so on that I am a premium account there. So I was thinking of having that. So you got inspired me that you could do some kind of rant or some other things that could maybe not be a regular podcast show, but some commentary.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's good to know. So it's funny. So we have talked more about podcasters and this how do you say, industry in the future also. What more? You had this giveaway thing, and it's a comics book, Soccer Comics, the free series, volume 6, sport comic book. But you created it first in 2013.
Yes.
And then now the third edition, 2017. And how could my fans of this show and sports fan and funny guys and others get hold of this nugget?
You could just write me, very simple, jim@themike.com. That's JIM at THEEMIKE.com, and put in subject free soccer book.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy to send you the link where you could download it safely off of my site. But there's 25 very popular sports comics with a little bit of commentary, all told through the voice of my Mike character. Like I have a comic which I love called A Clean Sheet. And, maybe not a lot of Americans that, follow sports would be familiar with the term, but in international football, a clean sheet is obviously when a goalie, posts a shutout. But in the comic that I have, the clean sheet is a goalie smiling brightly behind a sheet directly standing behind him that's hanging from the goalpost that has a bed sheet or bed linen that's just been laundered. Then I have flopping in soccer. We alluded to that before, and we show some melodramatic Italian guy. I think he's saying the rosary, because he just got tripped very innocently, and he flops on the soccer field. I've got, the Kaiser, Franz Beckenbauer. I've got one of my favorites is I can never say his name, but they call him the Cannibal. He was a Dutch striker who was very aggressive, and he had posted the most amount of red cards, I think, in the history of European soccer. Bularus is his last name, but they call him the Cannibal, and I show him eating a player. No blood. It's not that graphic, but it's a comic. It's silly. So that's what you get in the book. And it's some of it is, if it's historical, it's educational. There's links to other things to help verify, the points that I'm making and the statistics that I'm referencing.
Wow. And packed almost 100 pages, right?
It is, but remember, there's a placement card for the chapter heading. Then there's a comic, and then you have at least 2 pages worth of comments per chapter. So it's very easy reading. It's meant to be read on a tablet or an iPhone. You can read it and download it to your computer. But I enjoy it. It's lighthearted.
Yeah. How do you create them? Do you have a special program when you're doing them, the ebooks?
It's called Microsoft Word. It's so easy to do. There's all these other programs where you want to, create a book and load it onto Amazon. But the simplest and the one that I find to be the most flexible is Microsoft Word. Yeah. And then I capture it in Open Office and I save it as a PDF. So no one obviously can change the copy, but Where I do monetize my brand, the Mike brand, and the comic books is that I insert ads in the different chapters. So when I save it as a PDF in Open Office, those links are they actually work, and they're fresh. So that's where I make my money.
That's great. So we'll talk more about that.